Hello students, let's study the applications in e-commerce. Today we are going to study the applications related business to business transactions, which is known as B2B. In this we will study the key technology and the market operations. This is a part of unit 4. Now let's start with trends in B2B e-commerce. Firms are more comfortable with internet security, payments which helps increased use of B2B channels. Cost of using B2B systems has fallen, which facilitates smaller firms to participate. Now in this trend we are talking about business to business communication, that is the relationship which is backward, that is not with the customer. So the channel will be like something vendor to manufacturer, or it is supplier to manufacturer, where the purchase of raw materials and collection of inventory becomes important. Chain which is related is the value chain related to supply chain aspects, where even the small scale industries can participate and become wholesalers or dealers to the retailers. So communication is where an individual communication to the customer is not there, but it is a communication which involves big business transactions, because here you are buying in bulk. So B2B channel is more important because the businesses are facing pressure of buying materials at low cost, so that they can save the expenditures and give a cost advantage to the customers. So in this chapter we will study these aspects. Now let us see the next slide. Trends of B2B commerce also involves the global B2B business systems. They have emerged with lower complexity and risk. B2B communities emerge in same industry, reducing cost by integrating enterprise resource planning systems, which is known as ERP systems. Now here the global world has integrated, where the economies where the raw materials are cheap are also serving or coming on internet. Like China has emerged as a big market player in terms of the bulk buying, or in terms of the big factories selling goods to other businessmen. There are websites where most of the vendors, manufacturers, wholesalers are collecting, they are communicating with each other and selling their goods at low cost. The advantage is immense for other economies also, where the labor cost is high or where the other cost of raw material is high. If you can save on the transportation cost, the material sourced with a cheaper cost will build the value chain in a sustainable way to give a cost advantage to the customer. The industry has done a kind of a basic resource planning, that is ERP, that is same industry is more systematic, more connected, and it is resources are being gathered all from the world, from wherever it is cheap, they are connected in a chain to form a value and a supply chain. Now let us study the impact and the benefits of B2B e-commerce, that is business to business e-commerce. First is the basic advantage which we get is the lower administrative cost. It is lower search cost, reduced inventory cost, lower transaction cost. It is automation, eliminating paperwork. It is increased production flexibility. It is greater price transparency, and it is decreased product cycle time. Now all these benefits are generally known to the students, but still the cost, the supply and the reduced paperwork has become important. The communication channel has reduced. It is easy for people to connect with anybody anywhere in the market. The local markets are difficult, the global markets are difficult because of the traffic jams, because of the communication where the markets are far off. So if you really want to go through a kind of a channel which was traditional, like you connect through autos or through airlines or through railways, much of the time would have been involved to search for a supplier. Say it takes 2 days to go to Surat and to find a vendor there, or to search for a new product and a substitute which you want for your innovation and design. But now the internet gives you that option where you can design your product by searching suppliers who have substitutes, who have modifications, and who have better options to design and innovate new products in your firms or in your manufacturing grounds. Let us study the B2B and the business to business applications. First, basically product is important, customer is important. You can target any customer anywhere in the world. It is not important that the local customers accept your product, but somewhere in the world, somewhere in the global economy, somebody is in need of your product and service. Suppliers, it is product process, the transportation, the inventory, supply chain alliances, competitors, sales and marketing, supply chain processes. So, in this slide you can see all the operations of business world, whether from supply chain alliances, the strategic market issues, the promotions, the branding, the products, the customers, all have undergone transformation because of the impact of communication technology. The strategies have transformed, the impact has increased, and people have searched for better options which are more accurate, more connective, to give you innovative ideas, innovative services and new products in the market, which has impacted your daily life. Now, let us study the business to business applications. In this business to business applications, first for the any manufacturer, product becomes important. Product is the basic value which is important for any firm, because product gives you the specifications, the prices and the sales history, which makes important for the manufacturers to design the product by regulating the prices. The customer's sales histories and forecasts have become important, and the supplier's product line, lead times and the sales terms and conditions have become important. So, now let me explain you the slide in detail, because this was really difficult. When we talk about product, for manufacturers it is important to design the right product which is demanded in the market. The specification, that is the needs and the wants of the customers, and it is the right price. Right price is the budget price which generally the customers want to buy the product at that price, and it is the sales history, that what was the popularity of the product 5 years back or how the product was performing 10 years back also becomes important. And carrying those utilities, you can go to the public and connect your product in a better way. The customer's sales histories become important because the valuable customers can be traced, their needs can be studied in a detailed way, and you can create better options of cross selling and upselling to connect with those customers. Suppliers' production time and lead times. See, lead time is the time when you demand a product, that is the order point, until you get the product order, that is when the date of order is important and the delivery date. The difference between the delivery time and the order time is known as the lead time. So, if you have ordered your product today, you will get after 15 days. So, this is the lead time. Now, it has become easy to calculate these lead times and connect with the suppliers in an easy way and reduce the hassles of doing business in a better option. B2B applications also involve the product processes, the transportation and the inventory. Let us see the details. In product processes, we have the capacities, the commitments and the product plans. In transportation, the carriers, the lead times and the cost become important. And in inventory, we have the levels of inventory, the carrying cost and the location. Now, when you talk about the product, it is the kind of the capacity by the production aspect, that is what is the plant capacity, what is the quantity of the product you can produce per day, that will give you the total production for the per year, and this will be converted into sales. So, if you do not utilize your full production capacity, the cost will go high, because you have a plant which generally has involved the infrastructure and the other cost. So, you have to calculate that product in a way where the cost is assimilated by reducing the impact of breaking all the components cost. The product plans, if are done well, they are managed well, can be generally communicated to the stakeholders of the societies. They can be sold in a better way. The transportation is, now you can connect with the transportation companies, take the right carrier in a cost effective way and connect with the public in a better option. Inventory basically relates to the stock which is available in the company, the raw materials. See, inventories have both the cost, the carrying cost and the kind of the ordering cost. If carrying cost is the cost which you involve in holding the inventory, which involves the warehouse cost and the interest which you take up for the financial investment which you have done in the inventory. So, we have to manage this, we have to manage the locations. Now, the locations can be managed in a cheaper way because you can connect to the customers. You don't really need to put products in stock at the costly locations to have a kind of a display for the customers. The products can be displayed through the websites and the products can be sold through the code words also. B2B applications also manage the supply chain processes and performances. Process descriptions involve the performance measures, the quality, the delivery time and the customer satisfaction. The supply chain alliance relates to the key contract and the partners' roles and responsibilities. Now, when we talk about the supply chain, it is basically chain which connects the supplier to the retailer. The supplier is basically not only the person who is manufacturing the raw materials, but he has to also connect with the transportators and the other agents who generally make the system in a easy way to go, because they manage the bulk, they try to break the bulk in a quantities which are required by the retailers. So, here the dealers, the agents and other people are also important. We have to contact those people because they have the connections with the customers. The quality which you want is generally specified to the supplier, and now the calculations of the delivery is done so that you get the right product at right price at right time. The supply chain alliance is the basic contract between the suppliers, that if they get into the value chain of getting attached, the cost is there and they can build a competitive advantage. It is a kind of a merger or a takeover between two small suppliers to create a big impact where they can connect with a big manufacturer to give him a combined supply. B2B applications basically involve also the competitor. Here the benchmarking, the competitive product offering, the market shares and sales and marketing are also impacted, which involves point of sale, advertising and promotion. Now, when you talk about competitor, the competitors in the market are important. Now, you can study because the competition is not global, it is not local, it is just at the click of the mouse. So, you can compare the rates given by various vendors, you can compare all the hotel rates or you can compare all the rates of service available all through the globe. It is just a click of mouse available. So, when you do the benchmarking is to position your product or your service in relation to the market leader. Market leader is the person who can float a product of high quality at a reasonable price and at a reasonable service value. So, you can generally compare yourself with the market leader and compare your product by giving a benchmarking to it. That is how much you have to reduce the cost and how do you go about selling the product to the market. The competitive product advantages, how do we add value to the product by adding more attributes or more utilities to the product so as to attract the customers. You can calculate the market share, you can see the market share of the other competitors also. So, a comparative selling and a comparative analysis through websites and e-portals becomes very easy. Sales and marketing have been impacted mostly by the B2B operations, because here the outsourcing of most of the customer complaints and customer communication has been done by big companies, where the call centers touch the point of the problems of the customers. They connect with the customers' localized problems and try to give them solutions. Each customer individually can connect through emails or through other communication channels to generally get assurance for the solving of their problems. Promotions have become easy because now when you float ads on the websites, it is easy for the customers to see at any point of the day. Like TV, you have a telecast time, but websites do have a kind of a message all the time floating. So, it is even in night or it is 24 hours of the day, the customers can be aware what is going on or what are the discounts available for the products, and they can connect to that promotion. Let us see what is spot buying. Purchases are made at market prices from an unknown seller. Companies often use spot buying to purchase commodities which are uniform in quality, differing only in price, like gasoline, paper and cleaning supplies. Now, sometimes the world is so large and you have quality which is not differing. So, these commodities basically give you the option of buying at spot, that if you have a supplier who is located anywhere in the world, but if he has got a reasonable price, you do not have to check for the quality, because they are the products which generally have no specifications for the quality. You can buy it from anywhere. Here the testing is less, So, you can just communicate to the supplier and the vendor, and you can buy your products in an easy way. Strategic sourcing. Now, let us study what is the strategy. In strategic sourcing, the prices are set through negotiation in a long term relationship with the company, which is known to the buyer. A company's large scale computer purchases often result from strategic sourcing. Strategic sourcing is basically a kind of a opportunity cashing on. If you have an alliance with a known buyer, you can negotiate for a cost, you can go for a kind of a analysis where how you can get the best discounts, or you can avail the benefits of the promotion, or you can avail the benefits of talking to the supplier and getting into your specification to mark up a price which is reasonable for both the vendors and the manufacturers. And here the strategic is the specifications which your company wants, like if you want to buy computers for your companies, you can increase the specifications or reduce the specifications according to the budget which you have, and you can go for a strategic buying. Now, let us study the procurement process and the supply chain management. Procurement is highly information intensive and labor intensive industry which requires managing information among many corporate systems. It is a multi-tier supply chain which has complex series of transactions between firm and thousands of suppliers supplying thousands of goods. Now, again, what is procurement? Procurement is basically in simply words known as sourcing. Sourcing is highly information and highly labor intensive industry because you have to search for things which you need for your product. Your product is a bundle of many things where the raw materials are combined, and each raw material has a specification in terms of quality, variety, specifications. Especially in the automobile industry, you have lot many options where you can design many types of raw materials to give you the final shape of the product. So, even if the quality variations and the color variations are differing and you get better options, you can create products which are more new, more innovative and give a cost benefit to the customers. So, it is a multi-tier supply chain where you have many transactions, maybe some parts you buy from small vendors, some sourcing you do from very big companies which are branded and which have a high cost. But like if you have to buy very trivial items like decorative aspects, the colors, the paints or other decorations, you can buy from cheap vendors which are available in China. Because these will not add up to the quality and the functionality of the product. So, you can generally get into the complex analysis like what is important for company to give innovation for the product, and according to that you can design your procurement in a complex and in a easy or as you desire. However you want, you can contact a single vendor, that is known as single sourcing. Complex is when you try to go for 2-3 vendors, it is complex sourcing. So, depending upon the needs of the companies and the budget of the companies, they can connect with both the systems and get the advantage for themselves to transform the cost benefit to the customers. Now, internet based B2B commerce, this is net marketplaces. What is net marketplaces? They bring together thousands of sellers and buyers in a single digital marketplace operated over internet. It is transaction based. It supports many to many as well as one to many relationships. Now, see, this is interesting because the net marketplaces where all the suppliers are there and all the vendors are there and all the manufacturers are there. They connect by quoting the rates, by quoting the delivery time, by quoting the stock, and also by quoting the options of prices in relation to the other competitors. You are open. The best example could be like China's Alibaba.com, which generally has listing of various suppliers, a communication between many to many suppliers, or it could be one to many suppliers, or it could be even one to one if you get into a customized communication. So, this is the importance of the B2B business application, that is the whole world is integrated. Anything from anywhere, that is whether an item is related to your supply chain or you want to update it from the cross selling option is you get it into the market. Internet B2B business Like first, let's deal with the private industrial networks. These networks bring together firms which collaborate to develop highly efficient supply chains. They are basically relationship based and they support many to one and many to few relationships. It is largest form of B2B e-commerce. See, private industrial network is the network where only the suppliers of particular industry connect. It is not a variation in where the diversity of options is available to all the industries, but it could be one industry which is connecting because the needs are specific and the search becomes easy. So, these networks support relationships which relate to suppliers of one market and one industry where the specifications and connections becomes easy. Now, let us study the e-business supply chain transactions over internet. These basically provide information across the supply chain. It is important for the supply chain for negotiating prices and contracts with customers and suppliers. It allows customers to place orders. It allows customers to track orders. It helps in filling and delivering orders for the customers. It is receiving any payments from customers, like you have a mail order, catalog or EDI with the dedicated line, that is the electronic digital information base which generally connects you to the particular information line. Now, when we talk about the supply chain transactions over internet, so it is not only of the listing of the buyers and suppliers with their price rates, but here also the negotiations take place because you have the phone numbers also associated with them and you can talk to people through emails or through the phone numbers. And this is to generally the customers can track their orders. If they have placed the orders, how many days are left, their orders will reach to their operations ground, or it is also the transaction page. So, it is parallel activities which go through connecting all the supply chain in a multifunction and a multimodal way, where multimedia impacts are created to connect the world in a network where all communication takes place through the network in a sustainable way. Now, the revenue impact of B2B commerce basically involves, that is the advantage you get. First, it is 24 hours access from any location. It is information from various sources. It is personalization, it is customization of information, it is speeding up time to market, it is implementing flexible pricing, it is facilitating efficient funds transfer. So, the revenue, that is the cost advantage of the B2B operations through the network is the 24 hours availability, the immense information, the immense kind of access, availability, speediness, shortened delivery times and other facilities which generally relate to the price competition happening online gives the advantage to the total strategic alliance of the supply chain to bring the price of the product at the best possible option, which gives you a cost advantage in the market. Now, let us study the cost impact of B2B. See, initially we were studying the revenue, that is the benefit. Cost is what is we are paying for this kind of operation. Now, it is the supply chain becomes shorter, it is the decreased delivery cost and time, it reduces facilities and processing cost, it decreases inventory cost, improves supply chain, better coordination and information sharing. How cost is reduced? First is here the most important point is of the inventory. Now, when you talk about the inventory is the stock which you keep. Initially the manufacturers and the vendors had to keep a stock of materials in a better way because they had to meet the needs at emergency times also. And at that short time nobody was ready to give them materials because the kind of the options of not producing by the suppliers was often a problem. But now if one supplier is short of materials, the other supplier is ready to give you because he is listed on the internet and you know the availability with which option you have to connect into the market. So, inventory has reduced the cost because now we keep the minimum requirement